Hey, good afternoon, everybody. It is Matthew once again with Watty's channel, and today we are reviewing the AWA Remco Series 4 1986 All-Star Wrestlers. So Series 4 was the Grudge match battle. So we had the blue card on Series 1 and 2, red card in Series 3, and finally, we move over to black card in Series 4. We do have a Series 5 Mat Mania. I don't have a lot of figures from there, but I will do that video next. Series 4, easily my favorite line of action figures from Remco, no doubt. Not only are they the most valuable, some of the most rare outside the Mat Mania, but I mean, just with accessories, the characters, just a lot of really fun figures in this line. Just the overall look and quality, it's just incredible. And it probably has one or two of my all-time favorite box sets. And we're going to dig in. We're not going to be kicking back with some stories. We're going to dive right into the first Grudge match battle. So, first one is going to feature Abdullah the Butcher and Carlos Colon. So here's a fun thing about Carlos Colon. I want to say 1992 because it just feels like everything happened in 1992, the 1992 Royal Rumble. I never knew who Carlos Colon was. I knew the name Carlos Colon because obviously as a kid I saw that 92 Royal Rumble, and I probably come across a Rumble a few times in my life, and I've always remembered this guy running down the aisle wearing this outfit. So even though I never watched AWA or really knew who Carlos Colon was, when I saw this figure for the first time, I just gravitated Carlos Colon. And it's kind of weird that where your mind goes. Like, I can't remember what my wife said to me, a minute and a half after she says it to me, 15 seconds after she says it to me. But to be able to refrain or retain that kind of knowledge is kind of interesting. Abdullah the Butcher and Carlos Colon, again, possibly two of my all-time favorite Remco AWA figures. Now, I've talked about high flyers with their look, with their accessories, and color scheme and everything. It's really hard to pinpoint which ones I enjoy the most, but man, these guys are really awesome. Another thing I really love about this particular card, the red singlet. And I actually had to do a double take on this because for the longest time I always thought that was an orange singlet, but when you actually pick it up, I mean, it's clear as day. It is a red singlet, and being able to have the orange singlet variant is absolutely incredible. And it looks like this one's might actually be ripping a little bit, which sucks, but I mean, still, to have both variants, color schemes, is amazing. I was actually searching for a red variant of the singlet, and anytime I came across it, it was like crazy money. I'm like, no, I'm not doing that. I have probably 2 or 3 loose Carlos Colon figures right now, so this is the only other one I have that has an accessory. Or maybe I have one more with the accessory, I forget. But the point is, very coveted figure, love it, and just the overall look of it. Even when you kind of look at like the little creases in the forehead and everything, that is incredible. Outside of his competition in the 92 Rumble, unfortunately, I don't know anything else about Carlos Colon, so I don't have a lot of backstories or anything like that outside of the playability and aesthetics of the actual figure. But Carlos Colon, nonetheless, is one of the best AWA Remco figures. Now, unlike the original release, which came with pants and shoes accessories for Abdullah the Butcher, I do have another 3 sets of Abdullah the Butcher, and I don't know why. I just keep seeing Carlos Colon and Butcher and Abdullah the Butcher, and I just always pick them up. I don't know why. I love the figures so much. This is a great one. So Abdullah the Butcher, I don't know what he had. He had some kind of disease, not like AIDS or anything, but hepatitis maybe or something. And what irritates me about this character, and He's an interesting cat. No, don't get me wrong. You watch him and like Bruiser Brody do battle together. That is an amazing matchup. Put them in like a little small arena with like 400 people or 500 people. Like a little gymnasium, small high school gymnasium is what it looks like. But their battles were like so amazing. But hearing some of the stories about Abdullah Butcher, I don't care how much you hate on Ultimate Warrior about how he turned down dying kid's wish for an autograph, or how much you think he sucked as a wrestler or wasn't a good worker. You cannot hate on the Ultimate Warrior compared to what Abdullah Butcher was responsible for doing. So, Abdullah Butcher was very famous for hiding utensils inside his pants. Like, he'd pull out a fork and he would use that in his battle. And, he'd get someone in a headlock and he'd start stabbing them in the head with that fork. Now, I don't know if it was like a knife or maybe it was that fork or whatnot, but he'd use a utensil to cut his head. And, that's where you get a lot of these little scars on his forehead and everything. So he would cut himself, and knowing that he has this disease, hepatitis, whatever, it probably wasn't hepatitis, I don't know, I'm just speculating, but having this disease and using that same utensil to intentionally cut other wrestlers you're doing battle with, and therefore, causing them to get sick. I mean, what kind of jerk did you have to be in order to do that? A man of his size, I mean, this guy was probably put King Kong Bundy to shame. King Kong Bundy was a good 450-pound man, probably more, but he was agile as heck. Seeing this guy in the ring, he looked like he could barely breathe. He probably weighed just as much as Bundy, if not as much. This figure really does not do him justice. I mean, this figure makes him look like he was like a mediocre overweight guy, 270 pounds, let's say. Abdullah Butcher had to be 450, 500 pounds. I mean, the man was huge. Maybe not 500, but a 400-pound man, easy. So really not that great of a wrestler. He endangered the lives of other guys. Yet, he was a mega superstar. The fans just loved him, loved his antics. And he is, in my knowledge, in my opinion, in my knowledge, that to the best of my knowledge, he is the only person that is a WWE Hall of Famer without ever actually participating in WWF or WWE. So, love the figure, but man, the history of the actual wrestler was just kind of got to shake your head at him. But the black card grudge match, Abdullah Butcher versus Carlos Colon. And when you look at this background here, this gives a much better idea of Abdullah the Butcher's weight. I mean, even this picture, which shows him as a pretty thick guy, even this one doesn't do him justice, but it just shows how big this guy really was. But I really love the designs of the 4 different sets that you would find in the Black Card series. Next up, we're going to have a re-release of Larry Zbyszko as he does battle with Nick Bockwinkel. So Nick Bockwinkel is probably one of the most popular heavyweight champions of AWA. Again, another guy that Vern Gagne probably dropped the title to more than once. And I think Hulk Hogan in the early 80s was actually supposed to be heavyweight champion, and they decided to go with Nick Bockwinkel. Maybe they just like him, maybe thought he was more popular with the fans, or because he was a better wrestler than Hulk Hogan. Had more in-ring athleticism, whatever. Hulk Hogan, he did his thing. He went to WWF and became one of the world's greatest superstars of all time. So AWA probably shot themselves in the foot. Maybe they could have held out for another few years, had they held on to Hogan and let him bring all that attention and all those fans to the AWA, but to be honest, I really don't think it would have made much of a difference. I think eventually the AWA still would have gone out of business because WWF was doing their thing, you know, basically raping all these other territories of all their talent. So regardless of who you put over at the time, was Nick Bockwinkel the right choice? I don't know, but Nick Bockwinkel and Larry Zbyszko, those guys in the corner over here, right over here. Pretty much similar looking figures overall. I mean, nothing too flashy or too absolutely spectacular. I mean, Larry Zbyszko, even with accessories, about a $10 figure, maybe $20 at best. And that you gotta have the accessory. Nick Bockwinkel, much more rare. This one with accessory, you're probably looking at $100 figure maybe. If you can get it around 50 to 75, you gotta count your blessings. So it's just a solid overall figure. It looks good. I like the face and everything. I think this has got to be, in my opinion, a top 10 Remco figure. I mean, it's relatively plain, just plain yellow trunks, but the face and everything, it really does it for me. I think it's great likeness and whatnot. And of course, Larry Zbyszko. You know, like I said, two of your AWA's biggest superstars. For an organization that just came out with, that just produced some of the greatest talented wrestlers you've ever seen, to say that these guys are a couple of your biggest stars, it just it's kind of hard to think about that because, I mean, Jesus. I've already talked about in the first video your mega superstars, Billy Graham, Harley Race, Bob Backlund, Iron Sheik, Tito Santana, Brick Martel, Kurt Hennig, Ric Flair, The Rockers, Jesse Ventura, Hulk Hogan. Just, you know, then your commentators and your managers, you know, your Bobby Heenan and your Mean Gene Okerlund, and just they had some guys on their roster. Let's just put it that way. Whether or not they made the right choice going with Bockwinkel over Hogan, I guess we'll never know if that would have made a difference. The third grudge match battle is going to feature Terry Crusher Blackwell as he does battle against Stan Hansen. Now, Stan Hansen, I know a little bit because he is part of like WCW and had like this whole cowboy lasso gimmick. And with these actual figures, these are, again, because of the accessories and the overall look of the face and head molds and stuff. And this is what I'm talking about. Grudge Match has, in my opinion, some of the best Remco figures of the line. And it's figures like this that really put them in or near the top 5 of the best figures. I think I would probably put both these guys in my top 5. So that would be a hard sell for me, because these two would be in that list. Both high flyers would be on my list. Carlos Colon, Abdullah Butcher would be on my list. Yeah, I think those guys would probably be my premier figures. But then Buddy Rose would have to be on that list as well. The Barbarian would have to be on the list. So I probably couldn't do a top 5. I'd probably have to do a top 10 of my favorite, because there's just too many awesome Remco figures to really make a top 5 only. But this one is really solid. And I kind of like the way that he's doing a little pulling on the little foot right there. So, what was it? 2 videos ago or so, or maybe it was the first video, I was talking about a Crusher, and I couldn't remember the guy's name, but that's who I was talking about, Jerry Crusher Blackwell. And I had the name Crush on my head, but he was just another one of those stars. Another really big guy. Kind of looked like, I don't know, who would I compare him to? Trying to think. Trying try to look at the LGNs and see if there's anybody that he kind of stands out. He kind of compares to. Shoot, man, I don't even know who Hillbilly Jim, obviously because of the facial hair and everything, but I mean he was a big guy like Haystacks, or I don't know, maybe not that big, but he was a big fella himself. Another one of those guys that fans just gravitate towards because he's just a power, empowering force in the ring. And sometimes it works out that way. You don't have to be a good guy to be a fan favorite. I mean, the Nasty Boys, before they turned, babyface and whatnot, they're all disgusting. How rubbing their, armpits in people's faces is disgusting. But shoot, you love it as a kid. You laugh your butt off, and it's just good entertainment. And I think Blackwell was another one of those Verne Gagne competitors who, I don't know if he actually won championship. I could be wrong. But again, a lot of these characters I don't have history with. So he's just one of those. I'm trying to, refresh memories of what I've seen or read in the past to try and give some more backstories. But it sucks with some of these because I just don't know anything about them. Stan Hansen. I know the character from WCW. Unfortunately, that's about all I know of the character. Looks like freaking that actor, Elliot, something Elliot. I know his last name was Elliot. I can't remember the first name, but I'm sure somebody out there will probably know who I'm talking about. He was in Mask with Cher. And he's been in a million other things I've seen him in, but that's just one example. Again, two of my top 10 favorite figures. So, among the Grudge match, as I said, there's 4 tag teams. The last one is Scott Hall and gorgeous Jimmy Garvin. If you guys find those 2 figures on card, please let me know. I am missing that black card series. But loose, this is what they are. Back in Series 3, I pulled this figure out because I wanted to compare this figure to the Series 3 release. Jimmy Garvin had the nice chiseled abs in the Series 3 release. Came back in Series 4 on the Grudge match, and he's this big, plump guy, just like Abdullah the Butcher, same body type. And of course, we got Razor Ramon before he was the Razor. Scott Hall with his little porn stash, looking like Tom Selleck. I swear to God, does every single AWA Remco figure remind you of some kind of movie star? I mean, as I pick up every single character, they remind me of some actor. It's just crazy. Scott Hall, again, another one of those amazing talents that had his career start with the AWA and got his first action figure. Just an amazing piece. I can't rate him as my top 10, but still nice nonetheless. And Jimmy Garvin, Grudge match. So, don't have either of these figures on card, obviously, I just said. But, again, guys, these videos are not just about, presenting the figures to you, but sometimes they might be about, my request for your help in order to locate them. Maybe somebody who has it and might be willing to sell. So, again, Jimmy Garvin, just kind of give you the little backdrop of what that picture would look like. But that's about it. That is Series 4. Series 5, I think I have like 4 figures. And in fact, I'm trying to think the referee that I have, if that's a Series 5 or if that's Series something, if that's another, that's got to be a Series 5. I think all the referees were in Series 5. But I am going to close the video here for now, guys. I will come back with the last video and close out the AWA Remco review. Thank you so much for watching, as always, and I will talk to you in the comments and see you in the next video. Goodbye, everybody.